Hello everybody. Today we are going to talk about if sentences. If sentences is one of the topics we have been dealing with for the best part of our English life, but it's now high time we have a summary lesson about the different types of if sentences, which are 3/4, right? It is usually considered three possibilities, are three if sentences: the real possibility one, the unreal possibility, and the counterfactual events, right? Let's have a look at the first types, which divides into we imagine we have two people. We have John and Jane. And John says, I think there's an I missing here. I forgot my wallet in your car. Have you seen it? This is something real. He had a wallet. He was in Jane's car. And now he doesn't find his wallet anymore. And so he says he thinks he forgot his wallet. Remember, here there is an I missing, right? And Jane says, no, I haven't seen it. But if I find it, I'll give it to you. It's something very common, very everyday. If I find it, I'll give it to you, right? So it's a real possibility, and the structure is if I plus the simple present. If I find the wallet, I then will, to make the future, I will give, then we need the base form of the main verb. I will give it to you, I will phone you, I will tell you, I will keep it. Maybe Jane isn't so honest as she looks up. And so if plus simple present, then will, but always with the subject before. Remember, I, we, you will, he will, and the base form. There is particular condition in which instead of having if plus simple present and will plus base form, we have two simple presents, right? This is basically for laws of nature, something that happens mechanically, right? There's no possibility of mistake. If it rains, the soil gets wet. That's mathematical, right? Here, for example, if I find it, I'll give it to you. But maybe at the very last moment, Jane has back thoughts and she keeps the wallet. In this case, there's no possibility that things goes in a different way. If it rains, the soil gets wet, right? Now, lost wallet. So maybe she didn't give the wallet back. Good. So let's see what Jane does if she finds £100. Jane says, if I found £100 in the street, I would keep it. This is not a real possibility. She is imagining a situation. It's not that every time I go out of the house and walk and I walk on the streets, I find £100 note. So she is making an hypothesis, but a possible hypothesis, right? Because maybe she gets out and finds these £100 notes. So she says, if I found £100 note in the street, I would keep it, and that explains why she didn't give the wallet back. So here is the queen, and what is the rule? Jane is imagining the situation, so she says, if I found, if plus the simple past, then in the second part of the sentence, I would plus the base form of the main verb. I would keep it. I would give it back. I would call the police. I would buy a big ice cream. What would you do with £100? It's only a matter of your business. So let's have a look at some more details that we may encounter. First, would. This modal verb would is not normally used in the if part of the sentence. So you don't say if you would go. That's not normal to say, but there is only one exception to this rule, and it is when you want to ask someone to do something very kindly. I mean, like asking the queen, okay, asking the principal, asking your teacher, and keeping your finger crossed. Where are your finger? That she or he complies with your request. I would be very grateful if you would send me your brochure. This is also typical structure in business English, right? I would be very grateful if you would send me your goods, your merchandise, your catalog. That's the only exception to the rule that says that would is not used in the if part of the sentence. If plus would, never, except in this exception, right? Good. Sorry. Something more. In the second part of the sentence, we could use would if it's positive or wouldn't if it's negative. Let's have a look. A problem might arise here because would is often shortened as apostrophe D, right? If you stopped smoking, you'd save money. You'd save money. In this second conditional, second kind of if sentence, it doesn't present any particular problem. We'll see in the third conditional, the third type of if sentence, problems will arise, definitely will, because this apostrophe D can stand for would or had, and that's a problem. In the second part of the sentence, you can also use could or might if you want to add meaning of capability, possibility. For example, my boyfriend might be angry if I didn't phone him. I'm imagining this is not a real situation. I'm just imagining. I've always phoned him. And somebody asked me, but what would he do? If I didn't phone him, he might be angry, could be angry. It's possible. I'm not sure, but it's possible. Again, here with could, it's the same. If the coronavirus stopped, we could go out. Here again, it's an imaginary situation, unfortunately. Everybody hopes this will turn into, a real possibility. How would it be if it were, sorry, a real possibility? If the coronavirus stops, we can go out or we will go out. Is it clear? Good. So now the trickiest part. So let's put myself here under Philip K. Dick. Here. Right. So if sentences in the past in English only describe actions that conditions, that have already taken place otherwise. I mean, I can say if it hadn't rained, right? But it rained. So I'm making a counterfactual hypothesis. It means I am imagining that things went in a different way as they actually end. During the Second World War, the Nazi had invaded almost all Europe and were heading towards the USSR, but they lost the Battle of Stalingrad and were forced to retreat. This is the kind of situation sentence. So what is our if sentence here? If the Nazi had won the Battle of Stalingrad, which they didn't, they lost that battle. But if they had won, the world would have been dominated by them, by the Nazi. Okay, so here everything is hypothetical. The condition is hypothetical. The consequence is hypothetical. You have here a picture from The Man in the High Castle, Uchronia. It is a kind of science fiction in which the author imagines historical events took place differently. Philip K. Dick imagined that the Nazi had won the Second World War, so the world speaks German in his different reality, in this possible world that doesn't exist factually. It is only in our imagination. So it is a counterfactual situation. Events have already proved different than the hypothesis. The Nazi have lost, and so the consequences have not taken place. The world isn't dominated by the Nazi. Some more examples. If I had seen you when you passed me in the street, I would have said hello. But I didn't see you, so I didn't say hello. Everything here is totally imaginary. Nothing of this has happened. This is the description of a possible world that is not our world. Maybe it exists somewhere in the mind of somebody, as a Saul Kripke philosopher, a language philosopher, would say, but it's not our world. In our world, I didn't see you when you passed, and I didn't say hello. I would have done it if I had seen you, but I didn't see you, so I didn't say hello, right? And now the tricky part. This had and this would, especially in spoken language, are shortened as apostrophe D. So you can hear, if I'd seen you, say hello. And so it's up to you to decide what this D stands for. Is it a had D or is it a would D? Remember, in the first part, you never say would. You never say if you would, except when you're very kind, but normally you don't say it. So if it's a D after an if, it's a had, stands for had. If it's in the second part of the sentence, sorry, my grammar here went strolling in the countryside. This second part is a would. So if I had seen you, I would have said hello. Here again, another mistake. Hello, hello. Third possibility, if we had played better, we might have won, just as we had the possibility of using could and might in the second conditional, we have the possibility of using might and could in the third conditional. If we had played better, we might have won. We would have won is certain. Might have won is possible. We could have gone out if the weather hadn't been so bad. We would have gone out, certain. We could have gone out, possibility or capability. Always look, if we had played, we might have won. Sorry for this mistake. I'm very sorry. I'll try to make it better in the slide I'm going to put online after the video. So what are the rules? If plus past perfect, if I had been the Queen of England, impossible. I would have sold Buckingham Palace to a charity, okay? So if plus past perfect would have done, this done is a past participle. You can substitute this past participle with any other main verb past participle. Would have sold, would have understood, would have bought, would have drunk. Anything but in the past participle. Then the apostrophe D, it's a had in the if part of the sentence, is would in the second part of the sentence. And third thing, would can be substituted with might or could, also always followed by have done, to convey the meaning of possibility. And that's all for today. Bye.